Unfortunately, I think Hull had a fairly comfortable, 90 minutes against us.
De Zerbi's just probably scratching his head, and you'll see that the Premier League's tough. He's been away from it for a few years, and he's come back and he's realising it's still a very, very tough league. Yeah, I enjoyed that penalty, to be fair, Kenny. Yeah, it was a great penalty as well.
Dodgy one.
Yeah. Well, he took him out. Yeah.
Hello and welcome to the Al-Majlis podcast, powered by Cora Break. Please remember to like and subscribe and to download the Cora Break app for all football information. This week, I'm joined by Alex and Neil. Guys, how are we?
Good. Yourself?
Yeah, not bad.
Good.
Yeah, I'm great, Kenny. Are you well?
Yeah, very well, very well. Alex is a resident guest here at Al-Majlis, but Neil, this is your first time.
It
and
is.
And it's going to be the first time for some of the listeners, because coming from Sunderland, even the English will need subtitles on the.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Kenny.
And look, obviously the weekend has been it's been full of some shock results. Alex, I think we'll come to you in a minute because you might take a little bit longer. But obviously Sunderland, born and bred, and a Sunderland fan. How was the weekend for you?
We had a great weekend, apart from the result. Obviously, we've come into this season with extremely high hopes after the back of a fantastic season last season, finishing 7th, qualifying for the Europa League. We haven't really added enough players to the squad just yet. Hopefully we'll have a good week this week in the transfer market. But, being beat at the death in the game by a former Sunderland player, Jack Clark. I'm definitely not a Jack Clark fan now, but he scored a good goal. Let's go again this weekend.
Yeah. And I think, obviously, you've alluded to it there, but probably haven't had the transfer window that you would like, having finished 7th last year.
That's right.
And you've lost, a few key players, or there's rumours that they're going to be on their way out. Isidore, I know, is one. So yeah, there's a few changes still to be made.
I think so. I think they've retained the core of the squad. Keeping Xhaka, I thought, was a fantastic thing.
Yeah.
There was talk of him going to Chelsea, and thankfully he stayed at Sunderland because he's the absolute heartbeat of Sunderland. And he's got some developing players around him, the likes of Siddiqui, Enzo Lafay, Talbi. You mentioned Isidore up front as cover for Brobby.
Yeah.
We've kept Brobby, who had a great World Cup. Brian Brobby. So, the nucleus of the team, and obviously Robin Roof's in goals, fantastic goalkeeper. So I think we've got the makings still of a very good team. We just need to add to it. I don't think we've got cover in all of our positions for a European campaign, and that's why I think we need to add 4 or 5 players this week, and hopefully we do. We've signed 2 players. The right back, Mounier, ex-PSG. Yeah. He comes with fabulous experience. He had a very good game at the weekend against Ipswich, and we've just signed a new left back, Mathali, who comes in from Toulouse, very highly rated. Nelly didn't sign him, failed his medical, and then went back to Toulouse, and thankfully a few days later he subsequently passed it. So I'm confident about the full-back positions now, but further up the pitch we do need to build some strength in depth, definitely.
Yeah. And he was around 30 mil as well, wasn't he? So it's not
30 million euros, yeah. So it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
He's just a young lad. He's only 20, so he's but he does come highly rated. So looking forward to see what he can do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And look, obviously, from one promotion team winning this weekend to another.
Yeah.
So I read a stat on Saturday prior to the match that in 12 games that you had faced promoted teams, you had won 9, drew 3.
Yeah.
So is it the unlucky 13 curse, or?
I think what really disappoints me as a Manchester United fan is the stat which TNT Sports raised in the match, which was Hull City, although being promoted last year, they had the 4th worst defensive record in the Championship, which is unheard of for a team to get promoted. So that being to one side, we've come into the match, obviously strong favourites, thinking that we would go and have a fairly routine victory. Nothing's easy in the Premier League. And obviously, Hull played it exceptionally well. We can't deny that. They were fantastic. They put crosses in the box. They made it difficult for our players, and they fully deserved the lead. But what really got to me was the fact that maybe the first game of the season, you are going to leak opportunities. You are going to perhaps concede goals. But with a Manchester United team like that against that defence, you'd be banging on the door to create opportunities, chances. And with all due respect, I don't think United really created too much. I mean, the goalkeeper made a couple of good saves. But we weren't banging on the door. We weren't hammering crosses in the box. We weren't making the goalkeeper work. So I think it was a fairly easy victory for Hull. And that's what makes it extremely disappointing. I think, obviously, United, we've always said, last season was quite good on the recruitment front, with the facts of, Mbeumo, Cunha, Sesko coming into the team. I know Sesko wasn't 100% fit, but we'd gone in and built the midfield. But one thing I think the midfield that we had within the starting 11, which was apparent, was we weren't creating enough opportunities. It was very much slow-paced in front of the opposition, and it's concerning. Do we, now that we're getting Balaba from Brighton, someone that can do the run in the midfield and can do the dog work as such, and we can put Mainu in instead to be a little bit more creative? But I think that's probably the biggest concern from a Manchester United fan, because if you lose a game of football and you create chances and you're knocking on the door, understand that you're going to leak maybe a goal or two first game of the season. But it was the lack of creativity which is a real concern. And Kenny, you know better than anyone as a Chelsea fan, Andre Santos, no one really knows what his strength is. Is he that playmaker? Is he a intercepting ball player midfielder? Tielemans is, of course, a good signing, but perhaps he needs someone alongside him. So I think from a United fan's perspective, that was probably the biggest concern. Defence, of course, we can deal with that. But if you're a team that wants to go and compete, qualify for Europe, win, by no way, shape or means win the Premier League. I'm not saying that. But a team that wants to compete, then we have to be better in terms of our creativity. And unfortunately, I think Hull had a fairly comfortable, 90 minutes against us.
I think, again, listen, you're spot on with it. And to be honest with you, I've been an advocate, prior to the season starting, and I will continue to be, because I think again, I'm not going to read. None of us can read into one match, but I actually thought United were title contenders this year, and I think having.
Thank you, Kenny. Love you, Kenny.
But having watched, the game on Saturday, and again, you mentioned the midfield, like Santos and Tielemans. Are they actually too similar? Do they want to be too similar?
I think
Rashford coming on, did he provide anything? I think he had the right runs, but I don't think that the people were there to find him. So I do think that, again, there's definitely some things that need to be tweaked within the last week of the transfer window, and we're not going to touch too much on the transfer window today. We're gonna leave that for the next episode. But I am interested to see what you do. But I mean, look, away from, and I say we film on a Monday night, so Chelsea's playing in around an hour or two's time. So I am yet to be happy or sad from this weekend's football, which is not always a bad thing. I've actually been able to have a nice weekend and watch some football and not be frustrated about it. But a few other results that I think were quite shocking and telling in the Prem. There was two major results, one being Brentford versus Spurs. Again, to be honest, I didn't see that coming, having spent over £350 million this transfer market and with players still to come. I didn't see Spurs, going the way that they did. I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
I think Tottenham were very poor. They haven't gelled at all. They came into this season with high expectations. I I thought quite an odd move was making Archie Gray the captain, 20-year-old lad.
Yeah.
Is he ready for this? He'll obviously learn from this experience, but the team was all over the place.
Yeah.
Brentford played like Brentford do,
Yeah.
quite a high press. They were strong. You know, the midfield just dominated Tottenham, and they offered nothing. You know, they got what they deserved, nothing. So Tottenham have got a lot of thinking to do this week because they're struggling.
Yeah.
De Zerbi's just probably scratching his head, and you'll see that you know, the Premier League's tough. He's been away from it for a few years, and he's come back and he's realising it's still a very, very tough league.
I think the Premier League's getting extremely more tough.
It's evening.
You know, back in the day when United's, your Chelsea's, your Arsenal's, Liverpool's, City's dominating the league, you know, they would look at probably half of that fixture list and think, right, we'll go there, and unless we don't perform, we can get a comfortable victory. But now it's so wide open, and I think it's a testament really of the Premier League to see that I think there will be a lot of points taken off each other. Even though Man City, you know, they grinded out the win against Bournemouth. Bournemouth were good value to get a result that game.
Excellent. Yeah.
And I think that's going to be the case throughout the season. I think there's going to be a lot of points taken, a lot of teams taking points off others.
Yeah.
But I think, unfortunately, Arsenal are they're
too solid.
You mentioned about, obviously, again, teams being able to take points, and I agree. But and again, I don't want to get too involved with it. One, because I will not allow myself to get too involved with it. But you know, Arsenal obviously played newly promoted champions in Cov. Again, you boys both played promoted teams as well, and struggled, but Arsenal looked comfortable. And I know we was messaging over the weekend about it. They're a striker away from really, you know, taking a hold of this league. And you know, when you've got the likes of City scraping, you know, wins. Obviously, again, Liverpool. I don't think any of us have thought that they was going to be up to the mark this year, but. Again, like a draw against a depleted Newcastle squad yesterday. I'm sure you was happy in the 98th.
Yeah, I enjoyed that penalty,
to
be fair, Kenny. Yeah, it was a great penalty as well.
Dodgy one.
Yeah. Well, he took him out. Yeah. Yeah, I think a draw was probably a fair result. I think both teams huffed and puffed. I think Liverpool have still got a lot of work to do. That man Isak up front isn't firing. He got a lot of stick off the Newcastle fans. Maybe that affected him somewhat. But I think, it goes back to the point you made, Alex. A lot of teams are going to take points off each other this season. But there is only one team I've seen this weekend, and that looks dominant, and they're just competent and connected in every position, and that's Arsenal. Everybody else, I think, is up for grabs. You know, I think Aston Villa.
Yeah, that's another game.
They were really, really poor. I mean, they've got a lot of gaps. They've lost some of the best players. If I was Unai Emery, I'd be quite worried at the moment. They've got to do some strong business this week, or they could struggle again, like they did at the start of last season.
Yeah.
But they had those players last season. They haven't got them this season. So it's some really strange results this weekend.
Yeah, it definitely feels like, and again, it's way too early to try and predict how the season is going to go. Apart from maybe a likes of Arsenal, which you can tell are going to be solid. But again, like with a week left of the transfer window, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of sporting directors on the phone at the moment. I mean, like I say, we only just touched upon it, but Brighton looked magnificent against Villa. They again, and I said this a few weeks back. Villa are one of them teams that could either be top of the league at Christmas, or Unai Emery is the first manager to go. And having seen obviously the interview and the talks about Watkins coming to Saudi and to Al Hilal now, having watched the interviews, having seen how he was on the touchline, I'd be more inclined to say that it's going to be the latter.
Yeah, it's a massively unsettling time for managers, and we as spectators, we always say, why leave your business till the last week of the window? Yeah. But we're not involved in football. We're not involved in the operations. We don't know how it works. You were saying it earlier, Neil, quite, good point. It's like you've signed probably 2 of 5 players that you're short. why do you think these clubs leave it till last minute? I don't know. But then again, you can't control it, because then you'll have a player like Ollie Watkins that, he seems determined to come to Saudi. He comes out. Now Aston Villa need to fill the void.
Yeah.
And it's an unsettling time. So I think the managers of the Premier League and the wider Europe, the world, in fact, are quite looking forward to this window being over.
Yeah.
They know all the squads they've got, and they know what they can work with for the rest of the season, albeit until January transfer window.
I think so. I think that, my team, Sunderland, they're in the market for higher quality players now, because they're competing in the Europa League this year. Finding those higher quality players is a real challenge, because there are lots of other teams who are out for them as well. And you have to pay an absolute premium as well. And we have to operate within the PSR rules. It's a real challenge.
I think that's the thing why, again, we talk about it. Villa will never be a top 6 club, and not for any other reason, just that they don't have that global exposure.
Yep.
Spurs have finished 17th the last 2 seasons and can still go and drop 400 million in a transfer market. It's just the way that the world of football operates now. And it's a very unfortunate situation. And again, I've said, and you can, I know you've got a season ticket and you'll be going back a few times to watch games, but within this, I think you boys will struggle this year, just because actually by finishing 7th last year, whilst you're going to get a European tour and everything, which will be great, you've probably over exceeded the expectation. And just quickly, because we mentioned them last week, and I will mention them again this week, a team who also have faltered from that is West Ham. And my brother-in-law is a West Ham fan.
Okay.
He's a season ticket holder as well. So up the addicts on Saturday. Watching Charlton beat West Ham was a joy. But again, and I've said it before, I don't think West Ham are guaranteed to come back up this season, because they left it till the last minute to go down. Teams like Wolves they knew they was down. They could build their squad. Raul Jimenez, Kieran Trippier. When they got rid of Gomez to Aston Villa, who had a shocker of a debut for them, by the way. But they was able to build and develop. Teams like West Ham, teams like Sunderland, almost to a degree of, no, you haven't gone down, but you haven't had the opportunity to build the squad that you need for this season.
Absolutely.
And that's going to be, I think that's going to be something that, whilst I think you'll be safe, I think you're going to be down the, 14th, 15th this year is probably the region that I think Sunderland's in, just based on the fact of...
And it's the games, Neil. Like, what do you think of the number of games that you're going to be playing this season compared to last season?
We could be playing 50, 55, nearly 60 games this season. So that's a huge extra challenge. But we do have until 11 p.m. next Tuesday. So,
exactly. Keep high hopes.
To sign, hopefully, we need to sign, to cover that sort of extra spread of football. We need it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, look, staying on the topic, and again, I can't really talk about it this season, having not got into Europe, but obviously Alex, Man United are back in the Champions League, and Neil, obviously first time in the Europa League.
They got into...
He was in the UEFA Cup.
I think it was the UEFA Cup in 1973. It's 53 years since Sunderland were last in a European competition. So, very exciting for the club and the fans, obviously. But 53 years, it's a long time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, on that point, then, who would you like to see? You've had many years to look at other oppositions. Who would you like?
I've kind of got two schools of thought: to play like some of the smaller European teams so we can progress, or just enjoy the experience and play the likes. I mean, the teams that have qualified, the likes of Juventus, AC Milan, Marseille, Bayer Leverkusen. These are huge teams. Yeah. I would love a European trip to go to one or two of those places. So that would be fantastic.
And a Besiktas on a Thursday night away wouldn't be too bad either from Riyadh.
That would be pretty intense. Yeah, get a flight out here straight up there. I would love to do that. It would be fabulous. Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see. And obviously, this week is an exciting time for the UEFA draws on Thursday and Friday.
Can't wait.
For yourself, Alex, you've not had to wait as long.
It feels like a long time. We should be in the Champions League every year. Unfortunately, we've underperformed over the last few years. I'm not going to blame it on the managers. It's been down to various reasons. So hopefully we can really mount a challenge. Performances like what happened at the weekend do give us a little bit of a concern. But yeah, it will be good to compete again back in Europe. I think obviously the likes of we can keep going back to Arsenal. I don't like Arsenal at all, but I think they're going to do. I think they're going to do they're going to be strong, and it's just great. As a football fan, we're all sat here. What's the most important thing? Sitting here watching your team during the week gives you something to do during the week. Break the week up, enjoy watching the football, and see where it goes. And obviously, outside of Europe, United had a really bad cup run last year. We got knocked out at Fulham, I think, in the first round or the third round of the FA Cup. We got beat to Grimsby in the League Cup. So hopefully, from a supporter's perspective, we can improve on that. So we've got those more fixtures during the week as a footballer and fan to enjoy and watch. And let's see how we get on. We're always quite arrogant, shall I say, as English fans, because we always think we're brilliant. We've got the best team or the best league in the world. But then when we come up against these European teams, we seem to realise how good they are also.
Yeah.
But just enjoying the occasion is the most important thing, and that's what attracts the players and the transfers, like what you're saying earlier, Neil. Trying to get these players in to join Sunderland, to be part of a European team as such. So it'll be interesting to see obviously the draws this week. So, I think United are in pot 2. Yeah. So if we can get a couple of we can get a Real Madrid trip just to see how good we are against the best or a Barcelona, and then even like a Celtic it'd be good because, fond memories of United playing Celtic and actually getting beat.
Yeah.
But just incredible atmosphere. Those sort of games, that's what we enjoy as football fans. So it's from a footballing fan perspective, it's absolutely brilliant. I can't wait.
Don't think. What is a successful Champions League campaign for Man United this year?
Winning it. No. I think, if we can get out the knockout stages, the group stages, and progress into knockouts, and we can see how we get on, I don't think we're going to win it. We lack the strength and depth of the squad we saw at the weekend. But I think
at what level do you accept that not winning it's fine, but going out at that point is also fine?
A semi-final, considering we finished third in the league last year, but that's providing that we match that kind of level. And with how the Premier League is going this season, I think that's extremely hard to match. Yeah. Before it was very, complacently, it was like, you get top 4, then you progress up. But what's really difficult now is that you can get top 3, you can finish second in the league, but then trying to actually not just build on that, but maintain that is extremely difficult. And that's why I think Chelsea is good. I'm not saying this because you're my mate or anything, but I think Chelsea have got a good chance of doing well in the Premier League this season in the absence of European football. So let's see.
Absolutely, yeah. Xabi Alonso done that with Leverkusen. Again, I've said, and we may have lost our first game at this point. We're not too sure yet, but by not having the European football, I think it allows the players to focus. It means we don't have to, the Carabao Cups and the FA Cups, we don't need to change the team as much. Yeah. We can actually just try and solidify having players week in, week out, try and stay injury free and make things happen from there. And just for you quickly, so what's a successful European campaign for Sunderland?
Oh, it depends whether my heart or my head's talking. I think if we get out of the league, I think that's an achievement. So, we'll play 8 games, 4 home, 4 away. I think if we get out of the league phase, then anything can happen. But I think that would be an achievement. Yeah. Having said that, English clubs have won the Conference League 3 of the last 4 years. I think 2 of the last 3 or 4 English clubs have won the Europa Cup, so the Europa League. So I think, why not? Yeah. I think English Premier League teams have got as good a chance as anybody in both the Europa League and the Conference, so give it a go. What would probably trip my club up is strength and depth.
Yeah.
So can we go that far into a tournament? But I think we'll give anybody a game. So, let's see.
I think the good thing is as well is like back in the day when we had the traditional group stages, you'd have the third team from the Champions League drop into the Europa League.
Yeah,
but you don't have that now.
Yeah.
So that list of teams that you've got, that's your competition as such.
Yeah.
So
you can be prepared for who you're facing.
Absolutely.
Well, look, away from the Prem, as we're in the Kingdom,
Yep.
we're going to switch over to the Pro League this weekend. So obviously Ronaldo back with a bang, 23 goals away from 1,000 goals now. I think we asked this question the other week.
Yeah.
But how quickly do you see him being able to hit that 1,000 goal mark? What month?
Probably 3, maybe 4 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see him doing it. Yeah. He's got the bit between his teeth, hasn't he? So yeah, I can see him doing it soon, before the end of the year.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then away from that, we had so our game of the week last week on our Majlis podcast was Kadzia versus Al-Ittihad, and all three of us on the show last week went for a Kadzia win, and Al-Ittihad won 1-0. And I think they got a red card as well. So it was a pretty interesting weekend. Again, Al-Ali, Ivan Toney, a big fan of him, hat-trick, which again is great. Moussa Dembele for Al-Ettifaq as well on the score sheet. So, all of these, European players or players that have come from Europe and are now playing in Saudi, really making a difference. So it's making an exciting start to the season.
Yeah.
And I will say again, I have told everyone that I've spoken to this year, Ange Postecoglou as Al Nassr manager will score loads of goals, but you will concede as well.
Yeah.
2 league games, 2 clean sheets, 7 goals in total. So I got half of it right. I'm not quite complete right. I don't need the HMRC podcast coming after me at the moment, but it's definitely again the impact that he's had in the league. The players they look excited to play for him.
Yeah.
Very much like a Celtic did back in when he was there, and even Spurs during the Europa League phase, let's say, not so much the league, but they was excited to play for him. They was excited to make things happen. So I'm really excited to see what he can do here this season, and the experience that he has now from the Prem. Is something that I think people are gonna benefit from.
We were talking about it, obviously earlier with the Premier League, but I think it'll be the same in Saudi League. I think the teams are going to be taking points off of each other. We've seen it in the first round of matches. I mean, obviously everyone's going to get tested in different ways at certain points. And I think obviously all of the teams are investing money.
Yeah.
They're investing into their squads, and I think it's going to be an exciting season as well. Traditionally, we've always said, Al Nassr, Al Hilal, but I think there's a lot more teams joining that sort of race now. So it'll be interesting to see how competitive the season is. I know Al Nassr had a good start, but when they start playing the likes of Kadzia and Al-Ittihad, etc., so it'll be really interesting to see. So I think equally, the Saudi Pro League is going to be extremely competitive as well this season, and maybe you'll see a few surprises also.
Yeah. I think it'd be great to see Ollie Watkins here.
Yeah.
If they can get that over the line, I think that'll be great for them.
Absolutely. Again, he's a superstar coming from the World Cup.
Oh yeah.
It'll be really exciting to see what he can do here. Again, on the wrong side of town, in my opinion, but that's I can overcome that, and I'm sure I'll be going to watch him. But we've done this segment last week. Dino last week had an unbelievable week. I think he got 2 correct scores.
Oh, did he? Okay.
So, but we're going to stick with our teams in the Premier League. So, we're going to start off with Man United Ipswich. A quick result. What do you think the scoreline is going to be?
Can't see there being many goals. Probably a 2-1 win. I think that Ipswich will test us based on the result that they had last week. I think they're going to score. I think we look weak at the back, but I think home form should prevail. So I'm hoping rather than optimistically, 2-1.
Yeah.
2-1. I think if Man United can contain the two players Sunderland couldn't contain at the weekend, Emerson and Cisco, I think they played really well. And Man United get the midfield going, I can see it'll be tight. I don't think it'll be a high goal scoring game. Maybe 1-0 or a 2-1 at the most, I think. Yeah, 1-0 I'll go for.
I'm gonna again. I like to go different where I can, so I'm gonna go for a 3-0 United win. I think it will be a lot more comfortable than the game. Obviously, again being at Old Trafford as well is always handy. So then we'll go to Sunderland, Fulham. Again, we don't know what Fulham have done so far this season, but based on the weekend and based on Fulham signings, what do you think?
Well, thankfully I'll be there to see it, so I'm flying over later in the week to go and watch it. I think Sunderland at home are a very different proposition. They were last season. I expect them to be this season. It'll be a fantastic atmosphere. Fulham are one of the favourites for the drop this year. We'll see how they get on, obviously, against Chelsea tonight, so I'll have a better view, but I'm going to go for a home win now.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 2-0.
2-0.
I'll probably say 1-0. I mean, Fulham as well, great, provided stern competition last year. I think they lost Harry Wilson, didn't they, to Leeds, who actually had a really good game. I was watching him at the weekend. So I can't see Fulham posing too much of a threat to Sunderland. It's just if Sunderland can grind a result out, and I think they will. I think there'll be a 1-0.
1-0. I'm going to go 1-1. I'm going to go 1-1. I can see, be it again, cagey affair. Few yellow cards in there, but I can see it being a 1-1 draw. And then Chelsea Brighton, or should we say Chelsea versus Chelsea's feeder team?
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think will the
Stamford Bridge.
Stamford Bridge.
So again, we've got no judgment to make on Chelsea, because obviously we're waiting for the games tonight to see how well equipped they are. Obviously, you got Enzo Fernandez. His future's a little bit uncertain, so that might have a bit of a factor into not only how much it unsettles the squad, but how much maybe recruitment that they have to do to perhaps replace in the last minute. I think Chelsea will edge it. First home game of the season, so go for 2-1 Chelsea.
I mean, obviously Brighton were very good against a poor Aston Villa team. I think Chelsea being at home will probably edge it. I'm going to go 2-1.
2-1 as well.
2-1 Chelsea, yeah.
I'm gonna be confident here as well, and I'm going to say 3-1. 3-1 Chelsea. I think, again, yet to see how Alonso, what his style is, but I don't think we'll sit back if we go 1-0 up. I think we've got the players now, we've said before, Danny Welbeck, who can come on and change a game or start a game and get goals. João Pedro, and he's just signed a new contract as well. Both of them against their old club will be interesting. Caicedo always turns up for this game as well. I think the price tag and the Brighton fans got on the back of him as well. So I'm going to go 3-1. And then our Saudi game of the week will be Al Nassr versus Al Town. Again, we spoke a little bit about Al Nassr there. I think Ronaldo will probably be back and starting in this game rather than coming off the bench. So be interested to hear your thoughts on that.
Again, clean sheets to the start of the season. I can't see it any other way. Home game. Obviously, Ronaldo scored the first goal of the season. I think I'm going to have to go with a 2-0 Al Nassr win, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Alex took the words out of my mouth. I'm going to go even more. I think 3-0. Comfortable win for Al Nassr.
Oh, I'm going to stick to my prediction that I was talking about pre-season. I'm going to go 4-1. Okay. There will be a goal. There will be a goal that Al Nassr concede in the league.
Yeah.
Just so I can just feel a little bit better about my prediction. But again, I think they'll cruise it, and I think Al Nassr,
they look great, don't they?
They look great, and again, Al Awwal Park on Friday night will be bouncing.
Yeah.
But guys, listen, thanks for joining. Neil, safe travels back to the UK and enjoy the Sunderland game.
I'll try my best.
Alex, enjoy watching Man United from Saudi.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, we'll get our first points of the season.
Absolutely.
We'll see.
Guys, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe and download the Cora Break app for all the information, especially regarding the transfer window. Ma salama.